What up, guys? So went to swap meet and found some goodies. Um, I found this tank that it's got. I bought it for like $10 or something like that, $15. Had to cut the top off because it had a key in it. Couldn't get the key out. I don't know, but it's got a pretty cool shape. But it's just huge. So I put this, I think it's an 1.5 inch tape. I'm gonna run my cutoff wheel up here and up there, and we're gonna split this, removing this piece, and see what it looks like when we narrow it. We might have to narrow it a little bit more, but I think it has some cool elements to it. We're gonna see if we can make a cool tank. Okay, so what I've done so far is I cut that gas cap off and I got it exposed. Then I went ahead and I cleaned it out with some soapy water, some vinegar, all that stuff to get the odors out. The gas odors and everything, so it's safe to actually cut on now. And now what we're going to do is we're going to cut this thing. Let's see see how this goes. Right, there's a dent right there. So there's a bunch of Bondo right there. That's what, that's... Well, we got a bunch of Bondo now to deal with. I bought this one because it was supposed to be cleaner. So as you can see right here, there's a big dent. We're gonna have to knock that out, clean the other side up. But I got it cut into 3 pieces. This is the center section that we don't need anymore. You don't need this stinking piece. It's gonna be too wide. Alright, so this is with the distance of this. I should really measure it. This is what it looks like. And yeah, let's spin this around. I just put some, there we go. I just put some tape to hold it together. The shape is pretty close, so I could probably clean this up and tack it all together. But I'm still not positive on if I want to take some more out. So I'm going to think on that real quick and I'll be right back. Okay, so I didn't like how wide it was. I was doing some measuring on my other tanks, and from like across the bottom of them, they're about like 9 inches, and I was at a little over 11. So I ran that 2-inch tape, cut it down the middle, and now I have 2 halves, an inch shorter, plus the 2 inches that I cut out of this piece. So we're 4 inches smaller than the original tank. And now we're gonna okay, so I got it back taped up. It's not lining up too well because I have some extra material here and on the bottom. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this wire wheel, I'm gonna clean this section right here, strip it down to bare metal, put a couple tacks here to keep this tank where I want, and it's actually kind of lined up. There's a little bit of gap, and then I'm gonna run my cutoff wheel all the way around and give it just enough gap to where I could start, tack welding and everything. Okay, so I got a couple tacks in the middle. It's not going to split apart now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run my cutoff wheel, because as you can see underneath there's a lot of surface that's overlapping and stuff. We're just gonna try to get that out of the way. I think there's a little on the front. Yeah, there's a little bit right here on the front, so I'm just gonna run my wheel right against the edge of this one so I can get them to separate and split, and then they can sit a little closer. That's all I'm gonna do. Alright, now that I got it cut out, I ground all this out, and I just took my railroad tie that I got pretty cleaned on top, my plastic hammer and my little body hammer, and I got that dent out pretty good. I mean, it's about the best it's about the best I'm gonna get. But I mean, before the guy dented it and he just filled it with Bondo, I actually pulled the dent out, and there's just like this little bit of line right there. So next up, I guess, yeah, you can see where I tapped it all out. And that's where it was before, but the rest of the shell looks pretty good. So I think I'm at the point maybe now where I just put a few tacks all the way around, and we'll get an idea of how they match up and all of that. Yep. Alright, so I got a few tacks on there, but as you can see right here, this piece is lower than this piece and the gap is really tight. So I'm going to take my cutoff wheel, run it one more time through this gap right here, put a couple more tacks, then I'll continue to run through here, put a couple more tacks, and I'll just work my way around all the way until about like a little under here, just tacking it all back together. And then I still am unsure what I'm gonna do with this tank. Maybe we'll do some molding or something like that, but for right now, I'm just gonna try to get it tacked together and flat. And I've been having to take my hammer and just slowly tap these closer together and press and squeeze to get them lined up. It's not really a specific way of doing it that I know how. I'm not a great sheet metal guy or whatever. I just wing stuff, so I'm just out here trying to be creative. So let's just keep on going. I probably won't be recording this, but that's what I'm doing. I'm gonna take this from right here to right here, open that gap up. I'll take I keep this tiny little screwdriver right here, and then I'll either fit it in this way or this way and pull the metal and twist it just to get it to fit right. So I got it somewhat tacked together. I like the shape of it from the front. How it's like wide up on top and like pretty narrow on bottom. And then from the back it looks pretty cool. Side it just looks kind of like a peanut tank, honestly. Still got to do the tunnel, but here's the top of it. I'm kind of digging it already. I like this. I like how it's so narrow at the bottom but widens up. It's pretty rad. Back day 2, back at it with this gas tank, and I couldn't figure out what I wanted to do with it yesterday, so I figured it out, slept on it, thought about it, and so this is what I came up with. Been measuring my other tanks, and it's about 2.5 inches longer than what I normally like for the length of a tank. So I want to take a little bit out of here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this on this angle right here, both sides. Made a template, so it should be pretty close. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this template, I'm going to measure it back, and then this piece I'm going to slip forward and weld it with a little, it'll have to have a filler piece because this will be lower than right here. But essentially I'm going to keep this piece right here, where the tunnel, it's flat, I'm going to keep this piece the same. So I'm going to cut this out, and then I'll probably, this is an inch tape, I'll probably cut more of it back, and then I'm going to slip this into this piece, and I'll tack the bottoms together, and then this piece will have to have a metal piece in between. So let me go ahead and get this cut, and then I'll come back and show you what my plan is. Okay, so I got it cut, and then all I did was cut it, and then I just grabbed this piece and slipped it in there. So you can see that weird shape, and then this weird shape, I'm going to take just a piece of metal, and I'm going to weld it from there to there. But I'm going to try to get rid of this metal right now. I'm going to take some measurements and figure out the distance I want. And then from that distance is what I'm going to take out of this back chunk to slip it into here. And then I'll tack it together. Oh. Alright, so I dropped a Sportster tank, just a stock one. It's about, from tunnel to tunnel, it's about there. So what I did was I put this on here. What I did was I put this on there, and then I slipped this in, and then I got it to about where I wanted it, and I sketched out a line. So this is the line I'm going to cut. And once that line's cut, I'm going to join these tanks back together. And there's probably going to be, I don't know what there's probably going to be. I don't know where I was going with that one. But yeah, most of the time, what I see is this side, the front is actually smaller than the back. When they have these like weird things. So I'm going to make the back smaller than the front, just to do something a little different. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and cut this on this line, scoot it up, flip it around, and I'm gonna tack it together on the flat bottom side, because I know those are going to be flat. And then I can start to make a metal piece that'll go from here to reconnect everything. So, don't judge me by my bad welds. I don't know what's going on with my welder, but I got it tacked together. And this is kind of how it's going to start to go. I'll have to fill in this somehow. But yeah, it's looking something like that. Kind of cool. It's like a little step down. Alright.